What up, YouTube? How's everyone today? Obviously, you can see early in the morning on a Saturday, we are kicking some butt. Obviously, you guys can see we did a single brake conversion in the front, thanks to Koromoto for giving us the line that we would need to run a single rotor, which is super nice. Nice kit, super easy to install, and obviously, you guys can see we did black with white lettering. But the nice thing is, oh, there goes the fender. But one nice thing about that too, guys, let's go into the chopper world. Alright, guys, one thing nice about that too, guys, I do have an extra brake caliper. And what does that say? Brembo. Yes, that is right, guys. I will use this for the new chopper build to be able to put rear brakes on it, because obviously this bike is only going to have a rear brake, no front brake. So if I'm doing that, I'm going to want the best of the best braking. So obviously we have to do the Brembo with the floating rotor, so that way we have the maximum stopping for this motorcycle, guys. So I guess thanks, Busa, for giving me your right rotor to be able to use on the left side of my chopper build. And like I said, guys, when I was designing this bike in my head, obviously I want it to run no front rotor, so obviously you guys can see there's no spot to even fit a rotor. These are not the spacers I'm using. It's just right now we're in mock-up stage, so I'm just getting everything center line and everything, and then I'm going to make custom spacers for this. Obviously we're going to do chrome, so the whole front end will be chrome. You guys can see, super excited, and obviously the whole front end's chrome. The new bars that I did order are chrome. And like I said, this is the part where we're in the stage of the full roller, pretty much. And this is where designs start coming together. Obviously, not everyone can build a motorcycle. It does take a skill. And it's not even just a skill. It's actually having the mindset of designing in your head. Not everyone could design a really nice bike, guys. I'll tell you that right now. So, what we would be doing after the stage, obvious like this, would be obviously get the rear fender, cut it, do whatever I have to do to make it fit this bike perfect. So, it's not just going to be bolt-on parts, you know. A lot of this is one-off stuff already. Obviously, the frame is one-off. The nice thing about this frame, guys, I don't know if I told the story, but obviously I posted a little something about it. But this is actually a twisted chopper frame from the early 2000s. And they don't make full frames for the Sportster anymore. So this is like one of the early models. Like I said, they only make hardtail kits now. Full frames. You probably right now, if they were going to build you a custom frame, you're probably going to be in the $3,000 to $4,000 range just for a frame now. I did talk to them. Like I said, they don't make them anymore. So what we're going to have to do is obviously do a custom fender, get it cut, trimmed, and get everything mounted. So that way it's mounted. So it's not just a bolt-on fender. It's modifying a lot of stuff to get everything to design flow the best. Next would be a custom seat pan. And then obviously we got to mount the oil tank, mount the battery box, you know, stuff like that. Obviously I have to find a gas tank that I want to use. Obviously, I'm probably going to have to modify the gas tank. So everything's going to be modified. It's not just going to, like I said, be bolt-ons. This is still a one-off custom build, obvious, to get the specs that I have. it took a lot of time for me to figure out what size fork should I run to fit the 26-inch front wheel to give the bottom still being level, running the 240, and then obviously picking out the wheels that I feel like would fit this build perfect. And there's a lot of stuff and science involved, and it's not just bolt on stuff and do this. Obviously, you got rake, you got trail, you got a bunch of stuff going on. A lot of math, guys. So if people out there that don't think math is important, not important, this technically really is. Especially building custom motorcycles and painting and stuff like that. So, like I said, my goal is at least for the winter of 25 into 26. I want to get it as a complete roller, meaning you got the rear fender on, have the gas tank on, seat pan on, oil tank on, battery box on, and then all I have to really do is focus on finding the perfect motor for this to be able to get everything together, and then watch the motors, and then custom mounts, getting the wheel to line up with the front sprocket, rear sprocket, just a lot of stuff, a lot, like I said, a lot of math, a lot of science involved, and a lot of engineering. Obviously, you can build your own custom frame if you really want to, if you have a frame jig. I don't have a frame jig, so I'm like, I did want to build a motorcycle, and I got super lucky and found this on Marketplace for a really good deal. So when I got the frame, I knew this was the platform I was going to do. And obviously, everyone knows that I love drag bikes. That's where I really came from, type stuff. So I like having my bikes long and low, and this just has a real nice long and low look. Everything's nice and sleek, just super, like, just drop seat, obviously lower profile, stuff like that, guys. But yeah, designing a motorcycle is, it's a lot of work. Not everyone could do it. If you go look at motorcycles, and you're going to see a lot of shitty builds out there, and just like you could tell someone went on Amazon and just bought every Amazon part you could buy. Stuff like this takes time. Have I built customer hardtails and stuff like that? Yes, I have. And like I said, it takes a lot of science, and you got to make sure everything's correct. One thing being off by half-inch, quarter-inch could really affect the way the bike handles, rides, everything. If the motor's going to line up with the rear, there's a lot of stuff that it's involved. It's not just bolt-on parts and stuff like that. This is going to be a truly one-off bike. And when Twisted Choppers were building full frames for the Sportster platform, and guys, obviously I go with the Sportster platform because obviously I'm a guru at the Sportsters. How many bikes have I had on this channel, and how many beautiful badass Sportsters I have built and owned. And so it's just, let's stick with my roots. Let's stick with the Sportster motor. Obviously, we'll do a nice little hyped up motor. Obviously, it's going to be a 1200. Maybe we'll do some cams, maybe a little bit bigger cylinder, get it to really, really perform. Obviously, you can make 100 horsepower out of those little motors that weigh almost nothing, and get really great performance out of these little motors, and they last forever. I feel like this is the Evo motor was like the last like cool like Americana, because the Sportster looks just like a Sportster motor from like when they first started back in the 56, which is kind of cool. It just really gives the roots of the Harley, so perfect platform for this. So I'm just super excited for this, guys, this new project. I can't wait, just as this bike comes together, and, so awesome, guys. And like I said, we're doing some trick stuff on here. I'm actually going to try and reach out to some people there, some OG bike builders from the early 2000s that were building the chopper scene back in the day, just to be able to have some piece of history with this bike as I build. And obviously I like going to antique shops and finding things that I could use on the bike that just has new to vintage style. Obviously, you guys can see I was a huge BMX person growing up, and obviously you can see we have like BMX style wheels that just really flow. My drag history of drag motorcycles, obviously you can see it's long and low and just mean, just has the nice rake. And then obviously you can see some of the new school stuff, which, the big front tire, it's been out for a little bit now, but it wasn't a trend back in the early 2000s. It's never been a trend, so that's kind of like new and fresh and doing something that cool and unique in the front. I don't see too many choppers running a 26-inch. Usually the standard is like a 21 for the front. But I want it to be different. I want to give this bike a real nice, like, just mean look to it. And I think so far I have really hit it on the nail. Tomorrow, Sunday, is Woodstock's swap meet, so I'm going to go there with some money in the pocket just to see if I could find some stuff, that has some history to it. Because even though I do like the style of new stuff, and obviously we got a brand new 22 Busa over there, and that's the latest Gen 3 Hayabusa. Obviously, you know that I still like vintage stuff, and that's why I kind of went with the vintage Harley front end, just to give it that vintage look. And just being a guru of I love going to antique shops and just seeing stuff from like the 20s, the 1800s, from 100 plus years to 75 year old parts that can I use this on the motorcycle? It'd be super cool looking. So yeah, guys, super excited. Stay tuned. We will have more to come. Maybe I'll take you guys on the swap meet run with me tomorrow. But guys, super excited. Stay tuned. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this motorcycle, to choppers, to killer Hayabusas, to even my killer Road Glide that has both front and rear SMT wheels. And obviously we're running the SMT wheels on the chopper. Should we do SMT wheels on the Sportster? Stay tuned, guys. Please comment below. Tell me what you guys like and tell me what you guys would like to see. I will see you guys in the next.